Hello, everyone. My name is Jared Altick, and I'm a chaplain with the police department. The Hey Chaplain podcast is a place where members of the law enforcement community share their wisdom and experience through me, the chaplain, so that they can encourage others who wear the badge. On Hey Chaplain, you'll hear from dispatchers and federal agents, sheriffs and U.S. Marshals, as well as local detectives and patrolmen in my hometown of Kansas City. From the LAPD to Scotland Yard, the guests on Hey Chaplain deliver advice and insights so that police officers everywhere can survive and thrive. From time to time, I like to offer these bonus episodes, which are a compilation of stories from my one-on-one interviews with police officers. At last count, my collection has over 400 individual stories and anecdotes. There's so much wisdom and humor and just general encouragement in this archive, but it's also a lot of work to pull it all together into one cohesive podcast episode. So I really can't do it very often. But lately, I've seen a lot of discouraged or demoralized patrol officers, and my heart goes out to them. So I sat down one evening and pulled together a handful of stories that were related to the sometimes unglamorous life of a patrol officer. So in this episode, you'll hear a variety of stories. Some are funny, and some are kind of embarrassing, and a few of the guys wanted to share with you some good, solid advice and wisdom. I hope it's an encouragement to you.
I was a patrolman at the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department in the early 2000s.
I was a patrol officer at Overland Park Police Department in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I was a patrol officer for Kansas City, Kansas Police Department from 1967 up until about 74.
Yeah, I was a patrol officer for the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department from 94, the year I got hired, all the way to 2000.
I was a patrolman at Kansas City, Kansas Police Department in the 20-teens.
I was a police officer for 3 different departments in Southern California. And during that time, I was also a field training officer and a canine handler in the mid-2000s.
So we get called to his house, and this time he didn't stick around to fight. He ran. He didn't want to go to jail tonight. So we're out chasing him. This is my rookie year on evening shift, towards the end of the shift. And but I had dealt with him before, and so we're out hunting him in this neighborhood. Well, we find him, and my car is the closest, so he gets arrested. He fights, and we put him in my car. Well, we're looking for evidence because he dumped, I think it was a knife that he had threatened his family with, and he dumped it. So we were at least trying to give it a good effort to look for it. Mm-hmm. And so I had to stay in the car. I'm the rookie, right? Stay in the car, rookie. While the other guys were out looking. Well, he's sitting in the car, and he's back there huffing and puffing. Well, he's got his hands behind his back. I have the camera turned, and I've got the dome light on, so you can see him in the camera. Well, I'm just sitting there, and boy, they're gone for a while. We're probably 20, 30 minutes into me sitting there, and he's already yelled at me a few times and cussed at me and that kind of stuff. And, well, I'm not a robot, and like I said, it's not my first day. And so I'm sitting there in the front seat, and I'm hungry. Well, I got a bag of Cheetos in my bag, so I had them sitting up on my dashboard, and I pulled the Cheetos down, and I just started eating Cheetos right in front of him. And I'm just looking around, listening to the radio, crunching Cheetos. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm eating." "What?" And he goes, "What are you eating?" I hold him up. I said, "Cheetos." I said, "You want some?" "No, I don't want any Cheetos." I said, "Okay, just chill out, man." He goes, "What about those Cheetos?" I said, "What about them?" He goes, he just gets so frustrated and he's so mad. He just goes, "Cheetos in your butt." And I just looked at him and I said, "What?" And he goes, "You bleeping heard me." I was like, "I know I did." And that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. And well, that just set him off even more because I said he's being funny.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, that was probably the craziest, dumbest thing I've ever. And I can't illustrate how mad he was through that whole process. And for him to blow his top on me eating Cheetos in front of him and tell me Cheetos in your butt.
Yeah, that's so weird. That's hilarious. Okay. What's the most impressive thing you've seen a fellow cop do? Don't name names.
I seen one officer, a lady apparently had a walker, and she was by this pond, and older person, and they stumbled or tripped or fell in the water. And this officer came up and and it was fairly deep water, without any hesitation at all, he bailed in. Gun, walkie-talkie, everything still on. He jumped in the water, was able to pull her to surface and get her back out of the water.
Wow.
To me, that was very impressive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, with all that equipment, I mean...
He had no second thoughts about his safety, his equipment, or anything else.
Yeah, he could have sunk like a rock.
Yeah, his main focus was just getting this lady out of there, and he did.
That's awesome. Ooh, describe your worst on-duty injury.
I fortunately have not been hurt that much. Got hit by a car a couple times, but it was, I don't know.
Glancing blow? Yeah.
One of them, I went right up the hood across the windshield, but it was slow enough that I just kind of rolled off.
Right.
I'd say the worst one was I was chasing a guy on foot behind the apartments there at 55th and like Freeman. And, there's a big, deep drainage creek that runs behind it. It was night. I had no idea it was there. And I'm watching him, and he cuts through the trees, and I go through the trees right where he goes, and he's just gone. Well, about 3 steps later, I'm gone. Just down into the creek, and it's December, and I'm standing in all this muck and mud and garbage. And then you look up, and it's about 12, they get pretty deep. They just get dug out. So it's like 12 foot up. And I got scraped up a little bit, but I get out the problem. It's like, the stuff you were standing in, you need a tetanus shot.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, something in that shot I was allergic to. My arm blew up. Like, I couldn't even get my arm in my shirt sleeve, my uniform. And it was just like fire hot for about 3 days. And I thought, I'm like, great, I'm going to die of a tetanus shot, nothing else. But.
Describe your first foot pursuit. If you don't have a first one, then maybe a memorable one.
Gosh, I'm trying to think back. It wasn't anything too exciting on the foot pursuit, I don't think.
Okay.
I can tell you most foot pursuits that I was involved in, I ended up getting burnt. Unless the person gave up and stopped. That's about the only time I got cuffs on them. I mean, I'm not a quick guy to begin with, but certainly with all the gear, it wasn't that much easier.
Did you have body cams when you were working?
We did, yeah.
Okay. Do you have an embarrassing body cam story?
I think it's probably going to the bathroom with your camera recording.
Oh, no. That does happen. That does happen. Surprising.
Yeah, it's pretty common, right? I mean, like I wore mine on my belt for a while. I had mine on my shirt, and then I had it on like an external vest. And, sometimes you're on a call or something happens where you're like, you got to go to the bathroom. I mean, it's nature. You got to go. And then it's like, you go to the bathroom and your belt's hanging on the door facing you, and you're like, oh God, like,
that's worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's like, you got to get up and turn the camera off. And then, because at the end of your shift, you got to upload the body cam footage. And it's like, then you got to go to like whoever your boss is and go, hey, this recording, I was in the bathroom and it was recording. And, then they're probably going to want to watch it and laugh at you and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. Yeah.
All right. Do you have any fake ID story? Someone present a fake ID to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty common to get fake IDs in California. But I mean, it's crazy how good the fake IDs are. Okay. But if you're able to really manipulate them and use like a black light or some other type of light to like look at all the different, holograms that are built into IDs in California, usually you can tell pretty quick that they're fake. But some people they're good. They'll basically fall on the sword and be like, it's not fake, and blah 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 blah. And it's a really good fake ID where they've probably paid a couple $100 for it. But man, they go down with the ship. They stay the course. They'll just deny it being fake. Right, yeah. Yeah, they're committed. But yeah, you can't scan it. It's just it feels fake sometimes, just depending on where they get it. But there's sometimes where there'd be 4 or 5 of us that would look at an ID or driver's license and go, God, it looks real, but it ends up being fake. So people are pretty good at copying stuff.
All right. What policy or order were you given that was most infuriating?
The more you go up, like once I left operations, went into like narcotics and SWAT, detective, task force, you get more responsibility and you don't have to do. But what I always hated most when I was in operations is, why do I have to ask permission to go to the bathroom?
Right.
I am a grown man.
Yes.
Why do I have to ask? And they were, well, we had this person. Like, if you had a person do it that was abusing, going to the bathroom, using
address them.
Why can't you address that? And that was my whole problem with. I saw that throughout the whole government, and not only the PD. Instead of addressing individuals that were having a problem dealing with what would be common sense issues, they would make a policy that would affect everybody.
Yeah.
So if somebody was doing something correctly anyway, now I have these extra steps I got to take.
Yeah.
Because you can't control your people. And I try to explain to them that's poor leadership.
Yeah. When you write policies for the dumbest person, that's
it's like, now if you have a problem that is within your agency that multiple people are doing and they're doing it wrong, then you need a policy.
Right.
But if you have an individual or two that is exploiting something, why don't you just deal with those couple of individuals?
Yeah. Yep.
Then you'll set a precedence that, hey, if you do decide to, not answer your radio, go on the calls, and
not use common sense,
and always claim that you're in the bathroom, then we'll deal with you like this.
Right. Have you ever unknowingly wandered out of your district and gotten caught? Or in Kansas City, you could wander out of the whole city.
The only time that ever happened to me, I took the wrong exit. I wound up in downtown Kansas City, Missouri on accident. But, I'm from
You're
Kansas
not the only one.
Yeah, I know. And I hated it because I had to get on the air just to notify the supervisor that I was
I'm in the wrong state.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're new. That's the last thing you want to put over the air.
Yeah.
But no, I'm from the area, so I'm pretty familiar, I would like to say, with most of the metro, especially Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah, I've heard officers tell, especially ones who are not from here, that they're like driving around like, why are all the numbered streets running the wrong direction? Driving around downtown Kansas City, Missouri.
Right. I think there was one time where I was training another officer, and I just let him go, and I said, hey, where are we at? And then I was like, hey, we're not in Kansas City, Kansas anymore. You might want to turn around.
Yes. Do you have any advice for officers that are discouraged, whether it's because of the politics of the world today, or maybe just they have a difficult supervisor or family trouble at home? Any advice for an officer who's maybe just kind of struggling right now?
Well, I used to try to tell the recruits that if there's things going on, that policies or whatever that you don't like, you don't think are right, don't get it in your head that you're going to change them, because you're not. You just have to learn to deal with the way it is. Don't take it home with you. Do with it at work. Do what you can, and don't let it affect you personally. There are going to be some good times that's going to make you feel gratified and that you're doing something right. But granted, there are a lot of bad times that makes you discouraged. But the few good times that you deal with somebody and it's obvious that they appreciate what you've done, that's the most gratification you'll get and makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, those are the things to hang on to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There's as much good in the world as there is evil, and you will see nothing but the bad part in this job. So surround yourself with family, friends outside the police department that can give you a perspective of what's really going on in the world.
Yeah.
So you can have some weights and balances there as you go through your career. Find something that works to get rid of stress. I use exercise. One of the bad things about me is I didn't really have a good relationship spiritually through the PD, through a lot of my PD career. I got that later on, and I continued that. But it's a huge balance between mind, body, and soul. If you can balance that, that's the way to go. I mean, don't cheat one. I'm working out twice as hard, so I don't need to go to church. Or I don't need to, I know everything, so I don't need to get more education and expand upon my working knowledge of things.
Yeah.
Always be learning, always be physically fit, and always be, keep whatever your spirituality is, keep that in a good working order at all times.
Excellent. These cops, both active and retired, are opening up and sharing because they want you to be healthy. They want you to be smart about the job and about your life so that you'll keep our communities safe and then come home at the end of your shift to a healthy home. They want you to share in and enjoy the very thing that you are protecting. I hope you see yourself in them. I hope their hard-earned wisdom becomes your wisdom. If you have stories and wisdom that you want to share, please reach out to me. Currently, the best way is probably through the Hey Chaplain Facebook page. Like it, follow it, and leave me a message. I'll be happy to get back to you. If you like what you heard here, please share this episode with a cop or someone who loves a cop. If you like this type of episode, please listen to bonus episode 2 titled My Worst Police Car, or bonus episode 3, My Holiday on Duty, or bonus episode 5, The Fight is On. The views expressed here are the personal views of the host and our guest and do not necessarily represent the views of any law enforcement agency or its components. Thank you for listening today, and as always, pray for peace in our city. And for those of you who listen all the way to the end of a bonus episode, you're the real ones. You're the reason I make this podcast. Thank you. If you ask, I'll send you a Hey Chaplain sticker to put on your water bottle, or I'll send you a Hey Chaplain magnet to put on the refrigerator at the police department. I'm not kidding. Just ask. I'll send it to you.